Well, FNAF turns 10 years today. That is just crazy to think about, that it's been 10 years already. Because on the one hand, it feels like it's been an incredibly long amount of time and that it's been around as far as I can remember. But on the other hand, it feels like 10 years, it's kind of almost short compared to a lot of other stuff. Like, a lot of big franchises have been around for a long time, and 10 years for FNAF, it's a big milestone, but it also feels like it's not been that long. But anyway, welcome back to another video, and today I just kind of wanted to talk about my history with FNAF, because I was trying to think about how to celebrate 10 years of FNAF in my own way, and I was like, I could talk about the games and the history of the games and go over that, or I could just, I don't know, talk about how the games have evolved to now and how they're far different than they used to be. But I kind of felt it was fitting to kind of just talk about like my history with it. I think that's a better way to do it. So I'll keep the video brief. It won't be anything crazy, but I just thought it would be fun to talk about, yeah, just how I grew up with FNAF, essentially. So I remember the first game came out back in 2014, and I was in 7th grade at that time. I guess going into 7th grade at that time, and it was the talk of the town. Everybody was talking about it. It was the biggest game. I mean, obviously, we all know that. It was like the biggest game, and like it was just crazy. Everybody was like, oh, it's the next big thing. It's absolutely crazy. And then only a few months later, the second game came out, and I was like, whoa, what? The second game is already here? What? And that was super crazy, because it's like, man, these games are coming out fast. And then early into the next year, the third game came out. I was like, whoa, these games are like rapid fire coming out. And I remember probably April or May of 2015 is when I sort of started actually getting into it. Like, I knew of it, but I didn't start getting into it until around that time. And the first game that I started playing was FNAF 2, because it was the only one that you could find on like those free game websites where you can just like, you guys probably know what I'm talking about, but like back in the day when you just go on and you would be like, oh, I want to play this game, and you just find it on some sketchy site. And so that's what we used to do back in 7th grade. We would be at school, it'd be like a lunch break, and we would just be like, oh, dude, it's on this site. We're playing FNAF 2, and we had a ton of fun. I actually beat the game back then, through night 6, but I also did that more recently, but, whatever. But that was sort of my first foray into Five Nights at Freddy's, so it was FNAF 2. But obviously I knew about the other games at that point. But I think what really started piquing my curiosity with the game and my interest with the game was actually FNAF 4, which I think is why it ended up being my favorite game out of all the ones I played, because I distinctly remember seeing the trailer on YouTube for FNAF 4 and being like, this game looks terrifying. Like, seeing it when I was in like between 7th and 8th grade. I mean, you're old enough to be like, oh, it's not real, but you're also kind of like, the thought of these huge animatronics being in somebody's home, oh, that's just creepy to think about. But I distinctly remember that trailer and being like, this looks scary, terrifying, and it's awesome, and I love it. And then I remember after that, FNAF 4 comes out. Super great game. I didn't really watch too much on it, but I remember watching a couple videos on it and stuff like that. Mostly Markiplier. That's who really got me into FNAF. That's who got like everybody into FNAF. So, but I distinctly remember after that, FNAF World coming out, and all the criticism that came out with that game, and it's not like the other games, it's not scary, blah 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 blah. I remember that game coming out, and it's got a special place in my heart because I've never played it, but I do kind of like it. It's the odd game out, and I think it's a fun one. But that then led into Sister Location, which I think was the first series that I ever watched like straight through, and I watched Markiplier's playthrough on it. And I'm pretty sure that was the first year that I just watched straight through, like, and not just a video here and a video there. So that was like, Sister Location is the game that got me really into watching FNAF content, but it still wasn't anything I was like hyper focused on at that time. But it was something that I would like periodically come back and watch every now and then. And then of course, after Sister Location comes Pizza Sim, and I remember when that one came out and watching Markiplier's playthrough on that. And that one was one that, I mean, I didn't really get into it as much, but I did watch all the videos, especially because I thought it was super funny with Helpy in the box of balls or whatever, and he'd fall and crack his back open. I thought that was pretty funny, but I distinctly remember that. And of course, after that comes Ultimate Custom Night. I guess this video has sort of just turned into the games coming out, but I'm kind of going through each game coming out and sort of where I was with FNAF at that time. So Ultimate Custom Night came out, and I didn't watch too many of those. I watched a couple of them, but Markiplier typically made those like super long videos, and I didn't really watch too many of them, but I'd watch snippets here and there. But Help Wanted was really the game that got me back into FNAF and like a solid FNAF fan, because when that game came out, I watched Markiplier's playthrough on it, and at that time was also around the same time I started watching Fusion Z Gamer, who is one of my favorite YouTubers and a big inspiration for this channel. But that's when I started watching him too, and when I really became like a FNAF fan, essentially. It wasn't something I would do every day, but it was something that was slowly becoming a part of my life. And I remember Help Wanted came out, and awesome game, and it was awesome to play it too when I got around to playing it. But when it came out, great game. And then, you know, you get your DLC, Curse of Dreadbear. I didn't watch too much on that. And then I think Security Breach was after that, right? When COVID hit, that also became more, that's sort of when I started watching more FNAF, because I had more time to watch YouTube. So I started getting into more FNAF, specifically Fusion Z Gamer, more. And then Security Breach stuff started coming out, teasers for that, news on the game, and I was really looking forward to that. And I was like, I'm gonna buy it and play it when it comes out, because I want to, because this game looks awesome. And then it came out, and I played it, and it was buggy, and it kind of sucked. And but despite the fact that it had a really rough and terrible start, and it wasn't the best game, and it still isn't the best game now, but it holds a very special place in my heart, because it's the game that didn't bring me into FNAF, but really sparked my interest in playing the games more, and sort of started leading towards it would be fun to do videos on this. And I didn't get around to it till a few years later, obviously, but through that time I would watch more FNAF videos, watch more stuff on games, all this kind of stuff. And then obviously more last year I started getting into streaming and stuff like that. I would stream with David, and we would just do random horror games. I didn't really do any FNAF. Actually at that time I was more into Poppy Playtime than FNAF, in terms of like content wise. But it slowly became, I want to do YouTube. Like, that's what was happening last year. It was like, I want to do YouTube. I'll stream on the side, but I want to start making YouTube videos. And I knew I wanted to do mascot horror and a horror genre. And because Fusion Z Gamer is my favorite YouTuber and was a big inspiration for the channel, I was like, FNAF content is definitely something I have to do. And I do a mix of content, especially if I'm like playing with David. We tend to do other stuff, but I do still do a mix, but it's mainly FNAF, and it's just something that has become a staple of my life at this point. So it's gone from something that I would watch videos on and kind of think about but not do anything with, to something that has become a big part of my life. And so I just have to be, how do I word it? I guess I'm just thankful for the past 10 years, because without FNAF, you know, I wouldn't be making YouTube videos. Like, I don't think I would have had the interest in making videos on anything else. So without FNAF, there wouldn't be the Ryder Bro channel. So I really just have to be thankful to Scott Cawthon and to the FNAF franchise as a whole, and to the YouTubers Markiplier and Fusion Z Gamer, because all of that together led me to wanting to make YouTube videos on FNAF and other games like that. So just a bit of a quick video here. I mean, it's probably going to be, I don't exactly know, maybe 8 minutes, but you know, nothing too crazy. But I just wanted to make a video that essentially covered my history of FNAF and ended with me being thankful and just happy to be part of the FNAF community. I'm not a big part of the FNAF community, obviously. I'm only at like 700 subscribers, but I'm happy to consider myself part of the community and to just love the games because they are fun and they are a big part of my life. And you know, even if there's games that I don't necessarily like that have been released, and even though I think that the games could probably be a bit more scarier than they are right now, I love them all, and it's just been an awesome 10 years, and here's to 10 more years of FNAF. So with that, I am ending the video here. I know it's probably not the most exciting kind of video. It's probably a bit more bland. I kind of sound a little bit more bland, but you know, I also recorded like 6 videos today, so I think it's excusable that I'm not exactly, you know, super energetic right now. But anyway, with that, the video is going to end here. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you know, not necessarily enjoyed, but I hope it wasn't a bad experience. And I guess with that, thank you to FNAF and Scott Cawthon for the past great 10 years of FNAF, and here's to 10 more. So comment 10 more years of FNAF if you made it this far in the video. And with that, I will see you tomorrow, where I will be more energetic and back to a regular posting routine. Goodbye.